So, Ambassador, if you could tell us, you have known China for so long, you have been traveling the length and breadth of China. Why do you, or why should we call it the new land of opportunities in contrast to what has been talked about the United States of America? It was touted as the land of opportunities, but now there's seems it has shifted towards China. Why so?
Well, China is absolutely the new land of opportunities for the following reasons. First, it has demonstrated over at least 3 decades that it has lifted 800 million people out of poverty within a generation's time. This is unprecedented in human history. But it doesn't stop there. It's not just lifting 800 million people out of poverty that people know. What perhaps is less known is that per capita income of a country which is 1.4 billion people has crossed $10,000, and in varying provinces it has crossed even 15,000, but the average is between 10 to 15,000, and it is now picking up with every passing day. We have also seen that China has achieved several strides in science and technology. And when I say science and technology, it means both traditional technologies and new technologies, where China is an innovator. It is probably the fastest and the largest innovator in the world. This is illustrated by the fact by the number of patents that Chinese companies file every year. It is on top of it, and probably the three and the four countries behind it together cannot match China. So that's the level of innovation and modernization that China has achieved. The thirdly, also on the economic front, China has gradually reduced its reliance on its foreign trade based or export based. It used to be close to 40-45% of its GDP. It is now less than 25%. So it is gradually reduced, and then it has shifted towards domestic consumption and domestic utilization. So and that has unleashed a very sustainable and solid forces, productive forces. So it is on more solid basis. And finally, I think on the social front as well, I've been to Xinjiang, to Tibet, to there is no province left. I have done probably all provinces. Some I did when I was here first time, and now in the last 20 months or so, I've traveled extensively, and I've seen firsthand. And this is, I think, the axiom that seeing is believing is absolutely correct. I have seen firsthand what does it mean to take development to the far corners of very vast regions. Xinjiang is 3 times bigger than Pakistan's territory. Tibet is, a huge territory. I was in Gansu province. I was in Inner Mongolia. Inner Mongolia is 2 times bigger than Pakistan's territory. What has happened is that there are, um, it's there are millions and millions of miles where in a place like Tibet or Xinjiang. I've gone to north and south part and others where you feel development at the footstep of the people. What do I mean by development? Which means electricity, it means running water, it means in many cases gas, but it also means paved roads. It also means 5G network. It also means livelihoods. So I think this is something unimaginable. And then, not just livelihoods. If you look at the rising income levels in regions which were traditionally considered, less developed, they are, depending on how you apply the lens, they are pretty far advanced now. China has built, for example, in the last 15 years, nearly 50,000 kilometers of fast trains, high-speed train network. That means 3,000 kilometers of laying and running these high-speed train networks. So these are some indicators of why I call China the land of new land of opportunity in 21st century. But I could also add that it is
Sure.
the quality of living here, but also China has become more open and very welcoming to foreign tourists, students. We have 29,000 only Pakistani students studying here. So there's a lot of talent that China is now able to attract on the finance side, on the education side, on the technology side, but it's also attracting thousands and hundreds and thousands of tourists every year. So it's a continuously reforming itself, opening up, and I think so that are the basis why I call China as the new land of opportunity.
So would you say that this inherent technological, socio-economic, political strength that made China to stand up to the threats, the intimidation by the US President Donald Trump when it came to the imposition of tariffs? China took a very unusual situation. So would you say that this is this level of development that has insulated the United States against any threats the way Donald Trump basically issued them?
Well, it's obvious that China is a very large, very confident, and very resilient country. So, with such uh, wide-ranging technological advancement, economic progress, social development. Also, when you have so many technologies deployed in various sectors, whether it is industry, whether it is defense industry, space industry, and otherwise. So it is these factors of national power, and it is inevitable, and we have seen it in the past in other cases also. So this is what the people, the government, all segments of society, they're all very confident, and it is a natural corollary when a nation and its people feel confident, the leadership. So it's easier for any country to stand up to any threats or any challenges. So that speaks for itself. But I think there is another factor, and that's the China's ancient ethos of the Confucius ethos of having a long-term view, and also the first preference or the default preference is to talk, to engage, to be in dialogue. The first instance is not confrontation or to bully or to. China is a very powerful country. I mean, militarily, economically, technologically now, it is a very vast, it has a very vast territory, a lot of population. But I think this is what amazes me, that this country has such a depth, as such inspiring ethos of being modest, of being helpful to others. It has uh, you know uh, it has introduced recently a neighborhood policy where the fundamental principle is, and that's based on Chinese ancient wisdom, that is that if your neighbors are not peaceful or prosperous, you can never be peaceful and prosperous. Hence, so their priority is their neighborhood. That's first and foremost. So China, out of its 14 neighbors, it has settled border disputes, land border disputes, with pretty much everyone except India. Even Bhutan is ready. It's just because we know the reasons why Bhutan is unable to do that. But I think this is remarkable, and this has been done, in the last, most of it has been achieved in the last 10, 15 years. So that is a feat of its diplomacy. And the diplomacy comes from the underpinnings of this ancient wisdom and ethos.
That's an amazing encapsulation of what China in 2025 is. What are its inherent strengths, and why is it Chinese take pride, and why the country has positioned itself vis-a-vis other big powers with pride and with respect, and how it has expanded its influence through economic diplomacy. So, Ambassador, thank you very much for this candid conversation.
Thank you for having me.